You're listening to the Wilmac Wire, the podcast that's designed to give you a glimpse into a growing SaaS company, specifically in the realm of customer interaction technology. From customer experience to data management, we'll talk about it here. Thank you for tuning in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Wilmac Wire. I am Emily Miller, your host, coming to you from the 5-Star Bank building in Rochester, New York, which is our headquarters. I will preface this episode by saying a quick apology. We have a lot of construction going on the floors surrounding our office, and they tend to choose the time when we're on meetings to bang the loudest. So I do apologize if you hear any of that throughout this episode. I do promise you, though, that it won't take away from the value of the content. So with that being said, today's episode is a Behind the Build episode, which is something we host quarterly, every 3 months, where Bob Pease, our VP of Engineering, and I have a conversation about our continuity suite of products and the progress being made on the back end that's helping deliver more value to you on the front end. With that being said, today's conversation was really heavily focused on continuity replay and the effort the dev team is putting into our vendor-neutral compliance archive. With that being said, we also have a few other solutions in our continuity suite. That includes Continuity Capture, which is our Microsoft Teams recording solution, Continuity Replay, which, like I mentioned, is a vendor-neutral compliance archive, and then a few other things that I can't talk about quite yet. So stay tuned, because we've got some really exciting news in the future. With today's conversation with Bob, we talk a lot about the different features that the dev team prioritized over the past month, because people like you were struggling with certain compliance needs and challenges that we were able to solve for with these features. We also talked about the future of continuity replay, especially as it pertains to AI, whether that be AI scoring. There's the jackhammering that I was talking about. What impeccable timing. I will get to the end of this intro, though, and wrap it up for you. So like I mentioned, we talk about feature rollout, the problems that these features are solving for, the future of continuity replay, especially with AI, and just kind of the state of the dev team within the organization. So I hope you enjoy this Behind the Build episode of the Wilmac Wire. Thanks for tuning in. All right, thanks for tuning into the Wilmac Wire, everyone. Bob Pease, good to see you again. I see you around the office every day, but we only hop on the Wilmac Wire once every 3 months. So how are you? How's everything been?
Doing really good. It's beautiful outside today, so I wish I could golf. We started doing group golf events once a month here at Wilmac, which is super fun. We call it the Wilmac Walkabout. It's really great on Friday afternoons once a month. We leave the office a little bit early and try to get as many groups as we can to get out on the golf course. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. It's more about socialization.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of dreaming of that this morning, looking at the nice weather outside.
Just have a Wilmac Walkabout week and just every day.
Yeah.
I did not go to the first one. I am not as avid of a golfer as you are, and some of our office teammates are, but I have committed to one of our Wilmac Walkabouts, so you guys can see my poor golfing skills.
Oh. That's quite all right. We'll have you anyway.
Yeah, okay, good. I love to drive a cart, so either way, though. Thanks to our listeners for tuning into the Wilmac Wire. Bob, great to have you again on the Wilmac Wire. Just as a quick reminder to our listeners, this is a Behind the Build episode, which we have every 3 months, so once a quarter, essentially. And essentially the theme of the episode is where Bob and I talk about our continuity suite of products and kind of the updates that the dev team has been really grinding and working hard towards achieving. So with that being said, we'll just jump right in. Bob, does that sound okay?
Sounds perfect.
All right. To start things off then, Bob, from a really high level, can you give us a quick rundown of some of the most exciting product updates this quarter? We'll dig more into specific features as we go on, but just that high level update would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of key things. One, we launched support for transcriptions within Continuity Replay. This is above and beyond my favorite feature so far that we've rolled out. It comes in 2 flavors. One, if you already have transcriptions in your data, we can now consume those, store them within Continuity Replay, and show them to you in our media player. Why is this important? One, oftentimes folks have retention policies around their transcriptions as well as their call recording. So Continuity Replay can now manage all of that for you. But then, of course, being able to see those transcriptions while you're replaying a call within the product is awesome. The second flavor comes in if you don't already have transcriptions, you can transcribe your calls on demand through our user interface. So there's a transcribe button, you click it, it initiates a job, generates that transcription for you, and then shows up in the media player. The rest of our updates are largely enhancements to existing features, which are pretty great. So we enhanced the flow for SSO authentication based on some customer requests to make that a little bit easier, and that's been going really well. We introduced language translation as well. French Canadian is our first language that we support within the application. We have some others coming down the pipe. And then a lot of tiny changes to our search and replay usability to make that experience better for our users.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I know how busy you guys are, but just you talking through it makes my head spin. But I know we've, like you talked about transcription, the different flavors of it, that's adding some more, I don't know, like dynamic content into Continuity Replay. It expands that data set that we're putting in there, which is really exciting. But you also talked about single sign-on, language translation. A lot of those changes that you guys are making too were more customer driven. So how does the team decide what to prioritize when customer feedback does come in?
It's a great question. So anytime customer feedback comes in, the very first thing is a discussion about it. And that often includes more than just the dev team, because it's not just a question about can we build it, it's should we build it and how does that line up? So often that's a meeting with key stakeholders internal to the company, the sales team, our sales engineers, some folks from the leadership team to help us prioritize. And that kind of depends on, is it a big effort or a small effort? If we're talking about a small enhancement that comes in through a feature request, that's really just a quick conversation with some key people. If it's a bigger effort, that's going to take up more capacity from the dev team, that requires buy-in from other stakeholders. In terms of the decision-making process, we have a roadmap defined already. So often when a request comes in, we'll take a look at that roadmap and say, how does this line up to what we were already thinking? It could be a feature request that came in already, but it's really low on the priority list. And as we start to get more traction with more customers asking for that, that just automatically increases the priority for us.
Let me ask too. It just made me think of your LinkedIn post that kind of went a little viral about like canceling your daily stand-ups for a week.
Yeah.
Let me ask, is that the type of conversations that you guys have in the daily stand-ups around like feature development and like priority-wise, or are those more, all right, these are the issues that I'm dealing with now day to day?
Yeah, it's more low level, and for the dev team, it's very technical. So your formula is, what did I do yesterday? What am I working on today? And am I blocked with anything? And what we ran into with our team is we use Jira. We have a Kanban board in our Jira project. So there's really no need to all get on a call because we're all looking at the same Jira board day in and day out, and we can very clearly see what everyone's doing. So it really became a needless meeting for us that we could run asynchronously just through our Microsoft Teams chat. So we're not making big decisions in those. It's more of a status update on individual contributions.
Yeah, I liked your thought there though too, and it was a hot take too. LinkedIn, the crowd liked it. But I think that goes back to the efficiency piece too. Like we're all in the same office. I mean, sitting out in the bullpen with your team, like you can see them going back and forth when they're navigating those kinds of issues. So
and same with me. And 9 times out of 10, if someone asks me a question, I get up and go sit down right at their desk with them. I just find having those in-person quick chats ad hoc is way more efficient than waiting for some scheduled meeting.
Right. And then reeling it back to what we were talking about with prioritizing those different features. You talked about like a bunch of different stakeholders being involved in that conversation, and it just kind of speaks to the importance of making sure you guys on the back end technical side are having the conversations with the sales team who are having the conversations with the end users, and the importance of that kind of open communication. So definitely, yeah. Another big kind of feature push that we've been chatting more and more about lately is big moves around the connector ingestion piece. like beyond the legacy extraction part that Continuity Replay was originally built for, which we have, I think, like 50 plus platforms that we have experience with extracting from the legacy side. But the cloud version is able to connect with CCaaS and other cloud platforms to pull that data in regularly. So can you talk a little bit more about what's new there?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny, a lot of our changes this quarter around connectors were really internal. So nothing really customer facing. It was all about increasing our efficiency in those jobs, automating more of the processes to make it more hands off so that we can start a job and just watch it and react if there's any problems, but have it happen for you. And what that gave us that the customer benefits from is speed of ingestion. So the cool story here is we onboarded a customer and we're able to ingest 1 year of their historical data in just about a week or so, I think is how long it took us. Versus, the first time that we did this for a customer, it took us a few months to get through all of their historical data ingested into Continuity Replay. So minor internal improvements to really focus on operational efficiency for the development team ends up meaning faster consumption of data for the end user.
Right. And yeah, that customer story was a cool one. I remember when you brought that up in the leadership meeting as kind of a highlight. Like, yeah, we got this customer's data viewable and searchable within Continuity Replay within a week. Like, that's huge. We're all about access to your data. So actually speed too is a big part of that.
Yeah, and it's super important because, a lot of the CCaaS providers have lower thresholds for historical data than what, right? Continuity, it's unlimited. It's based on your retention policy. So our ability to get data out of your current production system is super important for us, right? Sometimes you're up against hard deadlines, your retention policy is about to expire. So the faster that we can ingest the data, the more flexibility it gives for customers for managing their data in their current production environment.
Right, that's sweet. And yeah, just to recap to our listeners, Continuity Replay now has live connectors with Amazon Connect, with Nice CX1, Five9, Genesis, Zoom, correct? Yeah, all right. Yep. So those 5, and we got more in the pipe coming. So just open up these platforms and making the data accessible to customers, because so many of them have just so many different flavors of those different platforms. Continuity Replay is acting as that like vendor neutral compliance archive for a lot of our customers, which is great. Okay, last question in our features and enhancements little segment here. What is the update that you're most excited about?
It's definitely the transcriptions, and that's because of what it sets us up for over the next few months. It's great to be able to see your transcription within Continuity Replay, but ultimately what we need to solve for our customers is the ability to search for those. So that's what we'll be working on next. Things like keyword matching or searching for phrases. This comes up a lot for compliance teams of for our customers. They want to go and find specific conversations that have happened that don't meet their compliance rules, that might need to trigger a training, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll be working on transcription search. It's also cool because for us, transcription search doesn't just mean audio transcriptions. It also means chat, email, any of the modalities that you're going to get out of your contact center solution will be searchable. We're also working on call scoring, but not in the traditional sense of like QM or QA in your contact center. This is more about, is your data ready for AI? So just imagine you have 500 million calls and you want to analyze that data for your AI. We want to be that first gate to give you a score to tell you whether or not you should consider it for AI. So to achieve this, we're going to start collecting about a dozen or so metrics, and that will lead into a scoring algorithm that will help you determine whether or not you should bring that call in. And actually run the transcription and then feed that transcription into your AI models.
Yeah, because when you think about it too, like how many of those calls are like random hangups, like they drop and it was only a few seconds. Like you don't want to have necessarily bogged down your storage or whatever you're paying for with that. So yeah, that's really cool.
Correct. Or, a 5-minute phone call that only has 45 seconds of actual conversation because it was a quick hit. Like that's probably not beneficial.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Very cool. Thanks for sharing about that. The transcription piece is really cool. We've been excited to hear about that, and you guys showing it to us
Yeah.
in the demos every 2 weeks. With that being said, I'm going to transition a little bit into more of a state of the dev team type conversation. And I had to mention this because marketing and dev have been working a lot more closely lately on content. So we've been seeing a lot more content come from you and your team lately on LinkedIn, blog writing, that sort of stuff. So how do you think it helps the team and our customers or partners when the builders actually talk about the process?
I think it's huge for multiple reasons. One, the cross-team collaboration is a key piece, right? It's very easy for us as a dev team to just kind of go dark, write a bunch of code and be really focused on solving specific problems. Chatting with other teams and thinking about how we might write a blog post helps you kind of come out of the technicalities of what we're building and really think about what's the end user trying to solve, and how to tell that story. So it brings the problems of the end users much more to the forefront of the dev team. So important for us. We really want our dev team to be forward thinkers, to be bringing solutions to the table, right? Like we don't want people just sitting around waiting to be told what to do, right? We want everyone to have that entrepreneurial mindset, and really getting close to the end user problems is key to that. And that's one of the things that I've seen coming out of these blog posts that the dev team has been writing, working with the marketing team to make sure that the content is on par with our marketing strategies, but then really sitting through and thinking about how does this actually help the end user has been huge. I've seen it come out of the work that the dev team is actually doing, and the way they think about problems and the way that they bring solutions to me when we're talking about how we're going to build features.
100%. And that just a brief tangent, but that made me think of how you guys are starting to host more lunch and learns too with different people in the organizations that are experts. So, okay, now Colin is an industry expert on the contact center side of things. He understands just the intricacies of that environment more, which is going to help contribute to his development efforts in the future. So, agree, it all goes hand in hand. I did want to make sure our listeners knew of what blogs they had available to them to read that the dev team has produced so far. So, Bob, I should have known that transcription would have been your favorite feature to call out because that was your blog was about transcription.
Yeah.
Different kind of flavors we're tying into continuity replay. So Bob wrote a blog on transcription that's on his LinkedIn and on our website. Grace McLaren wrote a blog on views, and then Colin wrote one on bulk export. So we've got more in the pipe coming from the dev team there, but I wanted to publicly thank Bob and the dev team for being willing to collaborate with marketing and kind of step outside of the comfort zone and write and produce content like this, which I think is awesome. So yeah, thanks, Bob.
It's our pleasure. I speak for the whole team.
It's our pleasure.
I wasn't sure if it would be something anyone would jump on when we started asking them, right? Do you want to write blog posts? But everyone has been signing up, so
Yeah.
they've enjoyed it as well.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, next part in our State of the Dev team. I know this hasn't happened yet, but your team is going down to the AWS Summit in New York City next week. What do those types of outings, days, conference type sessions mean for the team?
They're huge. So the summit that we're going to is the AWS Summit, which is a free summit that Amazon puts on all year round around the globe. They kind of rotate city to city. So, we went down last year, and the takeaway last year is the direction our tech choices were on par with industry standards. That's one of the things we're looking to validate as we moved continuity from an on-prem solution to a cloud-hosted solution. We were looking at, some of the technologies Amazon offered, reading about them and picking our architectural roadmap, if you will. But we had some concerns, right? Are some of these the right decisions, the wrong decisions? Are we going to end up in trouble? So those are kind of the sessions that we picked on to go and attend last year. So it was a lot of validation last year. We also focused last year on the security aspect of what we were building to make sure we were following industry standards there and weren't going to end up in trouble. So that was great. This year, our focus is going to be on AI, which is honestly Amazon's focus with these summits. That was a big push of their of what they were focused on last year, but we weren't quite ready to really think about how to productize AI where we were last year. So last year, our AI takeaways were more about how can the dev team use AI to be more
Mhm.
efficient in our operational day to day. This year, the focus is on how we can how we can productize AI, bring AI into the products that we're building to better serve our customers. So the team's we've had multiple meetings where we've gone over the sessions, looked at the things that seem interesting, and we're all spreading out to make sure that we don't all want to go to the same sessions. And then we're all going to come back together and have a powwow and put a presentation together for the rest of the organization, spanning things like what are the industry trends we're seeing in AI, what are the short-term and long-term things that we should be looking at from an AI perspective for continuity replay.
Yeah, I love that. And make sure you guys take a picture so we can post it on our
Yeah.
couldn't go through without saying that. But yeah, that's an awesome experience. I'm looking forward to hearing how it goes and excited to see kind of what comes out of those sessions. But we touched on it a lot with the summit is the conversation around AI. It's just continuing to take over.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, a lot of our most recent episodes with the analysts like John Arnold and Dave Michaels covered those types of topics and their input on kind of continuity replay's role in that space, the role of voice data and customer interaction data in that space. So how do you see AI, Bob, showing up in continuity replay today and then in the near future as well? I know you talked about it a little bit with the scoring, but
Yeah.
share more, please.
Yeah, we're really focused on making sure your data is prepped for AI. At the end of the day, if you're a customer, it's your data. So we want to make sure that you can do whatever you need to with that data. If you want to export it out of continuity replay and use it in your AI pipelines downstream, marry it up with other data sets, that's great. We want to help support you through that. We also want to bring AI into continuity replay, both to help with the user flow, to help you get to the data you need faster, to enhance the metadata that we have and add more metrics, all through AI processes.
Awesome. Yeah. So a lot of potential there. And we know it's on the roadmap for a lot of our customers too. Like in a few, we've been kind of brought into that conversation around their AI initiatives and how we're making their data ready for it, how we're leveraging it. So now it sounds like we're just starting to fine tune and execute even further. So yeah, excited to hear more about it and see it on the roadmap and in our future sessions. All right. Anything else to add on the AI piece, or all good?
I think we're all good.
All right, sweet. Okay, as we wrap up, Bob, of everything that's rolled out lately, what's one update that's in the future that you're personally most excited about?
I'm trying to think of an answer that doesn't make me sound like a broken record. The AI scoring is what I've been focused on lately, which has me really excited. So I guess just a little peek behind the curtain for typically how new big features will roll out. I will often take the first stab at POC. So that's really, we call it happy path coding in the industry. So you write your code to do what you need to do, and you don't worry about things like error handling or scalability. You're really just looking at, can I achieve this goal? So I've done that for call scoring and had a great internal meeting with some other folks in the dev team and Charlie Snedden, one of our sales engineers, to kind of go over my findings and say, here's the metrics I'm pulling out. Here's how I see them fitting into our scoring algorithm down the line. What do you guys think? Give me feedback. So they gave me a bunch of notes to take, and the next phase of this will be me planning out the actual dev work that will happen for it. So writing up all of our stories, sitting down with the dev team, talking about error handling, scalability, how we bake that into the feature, and how we deliver this data as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So that's what has me most excited. It's a little bit lame because it's more of the planning phase right now. But I don't know, it gets me so excited. Seeing an idea come out of someone, leading into the POC and planning work, and then ultimately the actual dev team taking it over and bringing it to life.
Not lame at all. I love talking. That's one thing I love about Wilmac and kind of our roles is that you're really at ground level conceptual brainstorming to planning to execution to fine tuning in the future. So it's just cool that everyone is really involved in that process, and we're still able to do that. All right, yeah. Thanks for sharing, Bob.
Yeah.
Before I wrap us up, I do want to apologize if there was any nice banging in the background of this episode because we have some lovely construction going on in our office around us. But before I close, I had to shout out, besides Bob and being awesome and always joining me on this podcast with no grumbling whatsoever, I had to shout out the rest of the dev team, Anthony, Grace, Colin, and Nick, for their hard work and just really the great culture that they bring to our office every day. And just the light that they bring, especially to the biweekly roadmap meetings. I mean, those are one of the best meetings for sure of every week. So to our listeners, if you're interested in learning more about what the dev team is doing with Continuity Replay and just in general with our continuity suite of products, first, I'd say find Bob on LinkedIn. His name is Bob Pease. And second, we do have, we line up our continuity releases with some marketing efforts. So we have our biweekly release emails and biweekly release posts that go up every week on LinkedIn, or every 2 weeks on LinkedIn, on the Wilmac Technologies LinkedIn page. Bob, any other places people can learn more that I'm missing?
No, I think you covered it. I do want to expand a little on that, the marketing or the release emails that we send out. Rather, it started as, when we release our software, we create a bunch of release notes, and they're not very fun to go through, to be honest. It's just a bullet list of all the JIRA tickets, basically, which is super important. But working with Emily and the marketing team to turn that into more user-facing content that actually adds value has been awesome. And it's kind of morphed from just those release notes into tips and tricks for using the product. We go back and revisit features and talk about what problems they solve, how to use them, how you can integrate them into your flow. So that's a really great resource for new things that are coming out of Continuity Replay.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. We love putting that sort of content together and just getting more familiar with the platform. I think Grace Basil is a pro user of Continuity Replay. All right. Thanks, Bob, again for your time today and for joining me for another quarterly Behind the Build update on our Continuity suite of products. To our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your summer and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Wilmac Wire. Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform or visiting our website at www.wilmactech.com. You can also watch the full video recordings of every episode on our YouTube channel. Thank you for being a part of our community, and again, thank you for listening to the Wilmac Wire.